I'll just introduce you.
Sweet. And then I just want to get my, okay, so I'll wait and then share a screen. Just tell me when.
Okay. So we're going to begin the How to Create a Press Kit webinar for your store. Thank you all for signing up and sending in your press kits. If you haven't sent one in yet, there are about 6 spots open for reviews by Mary Beth in advance of Book Expo. And we're hoping this webinar will inspire you to get yours updated or created for the first time. I'm reminding everyone that this webinar will last approximately 1 hour. Mary Beth will present, and then she'll be answering your questions at the end. Because it's such a large group, we're going to mute your sound. Nikki's going to make sure that all attendees except SEBA staff are muted. Please use the chat function to ask your questions. You'll see the chat option on the bottom center right of your screen. When you click on it, chat will open up on the side of your screen. And please choose the Write to Everyone option so we can see your question. And feel free to write questions throughout the presentation. You're welcome to keep your video on so we can see you. However, if you need to multitask, like eat your lunch or take calls, then you can turn your video off. But otherwise, you're welcome to keep your video on because it's nice to see each other's faces. And now I'm going to introduce Mary Beth. Mary Beth Pelly has her own marketing consulting service that helps transform new and underperforming businesses. She works directly with business owners to map out and implement marketing systems that will generate more sales and increase profitability. You can find out more about her business at marybethpelly.com. She lives in New Jersey and is the event planner at her local independent bookstore, Booktown. Mary Beth has worked with NABA to create the Press Kit webinar, which she has presented multiple times to bookstores. She also extended to SEBA her Press Kit checklist, which we'll be emailing to all of you and is now posted online in our Pure Brain Trust under Working with Publishers. I'm going to turn things over to Mary Beth so she can get started. Okay, Mary Beth, it's to you now.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to share my screen. So just bear with me here. Okay, how are we doing? Does everyone see that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I see bobbing heads. That's good. Okay. All right. So, so all the videos are in my way of my screen. Okay, move that. Okay, cool. All right. So I've been working with Booktown for 8 years here in Manasquan. Like you just learned, I've been working on my own as a consultant for small businesses for 15 years, specifically working with small to mid-sized independent businesses. And this is my 6th time teaching this webinar. So it's been tweaked a lot over the years with NABA. Been happy to know that the booksellers are using it each year, no matter what type of author events program they have, whether it's a simple starting up one, or if it's one that's complex. So,
excuse me, Mary Beth, we have a request that you should speak a little louder.
Okay, great, thanks. And I'm having my presentations, it seems to like delay in the rolling of the slides, so just bear with me on that one too. So the reason why Booktown started a press kit, is this volume better?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We had some challenges. One, I was not from the industry. I was working outside the industry, so I know a lot of event planners have had experience in the publishing industry or just in the bookstore industry. So I didn't have that advantage, and I had to learn really quick the industry. Also, Booktown in itself was 1,000 square feet. So that's including everything. So we had a lot of limited space for events if we wanted to build certain size events. The publishers that were located in New York thought that Manasquan it might as well have been in the SEBA region. I mean, they didn't understand how far south we were, and they thought we were a part-time, like an off-season, like we only had a summer season or a summer business season. We were an all-year-round community. So I had to really overcome these challenges. So coming from outside the industry, I didn't want to burn a lot of fuel hunting for authors and publishers to get on their radar. So I wanted to be pursued. That was my ultimate goal. I wanted to be pursued by authors and by publishers. So anyway, that began my quest. So I'm going to skip ahead to explain for those who are not sure what a press kit is. A press kit is a simple document, condensed, describing what your store is, okay? So I like to say that it's a promotional document that is written specifically for a targeted audience. It's written for the publishers, publicity contacts, and media, and authors as well. But most likely, you're going to be presenting this to the publishers and the publicity contacts that you have developed. It's condensed in the sense that it's not a memoir. It's not long. It's not the behind-the-scenes story about the store. It's about 1 to 2 pages max. Now, I've even reduced that from when I originally created the press kit. I was saying 2 to 3 pages. So when we show these examples today, I don't want you to get all excited about how many pages yours is, and if it's not long enough, you have to fill it up. I just want you to understand that the important content has to be in the document. So I say 1 to 2 pages now, but if it goes to 2 to 3 because you have a more complex author program, that is fine. So in the press kit, I've developed a template that is easy to read. It's easy for the publicist to find the information. And when I was developing it, I wanted them to have, I didn't want to keep repeating all these important things that I was trying to overcome with Booktown, being where our location was, how big our store was, and making sure that they didn't think that limited us. So I was trying to accent different information in our document. So I came up with this template, and it seems to be pretty basic that that anyone can start using it. Now, since I've been doing this presentation, I have met several booksellers who have gone on and tweaked the template for their own purposes, which are great. And so I'm only presenting this as a model for you to use as a guideline. Understand the strategic principles behind this document and how it's different from any other type of collateral that you're really building for your store. So that is what a press kit is. Any questions there? Nikki, anything in the chat? Okay, shaking heads no. All right, so that is what a press kit is.
Hi, how are you?
Hi.
Let me know if I can help you find anything. Go right.
Okay, so someone's not muted.
I'm muting. I'm sorry. That's me.
Okay. Okay, so why does your store need a press kit? Again, when you're going to the publishers, the ones that we meet in New York, or the ones that you're trying to reach out to in New York, they are trying to schedule the entire nation. And I find that it's very hard for them to keep straight who we are, where we are, what we do, and what's unique about us. So I want to make sure that you take the time once a year to update this document and also share it with all your staff. Because in the progress of making this document, it helps you articulate efficiently and succinctly what your store has to offer for the publishers and for the authors. So you kind of have to give them a boiled down version of your store. Now, it may be important for you to elaborate about, the reason behind the name of the store, who's the owner, if there was a previous owner and then it switched hands, that's fine. That all can happen on the outsides of the conversation with the publisher. But when they have a takeaway document, it's this press kit, and that press kit's going to have the most important information that I want you to highlight about your store. It's also a great training tool for your staff, especially if you have new staff coming on for the season. It helps them to better understand how to sell your store and articulate what you have to offer for the community. So again, it has you can leverage the work that you're putting into this one document, because it does take some time, and you can use it for a training document for the rest of your staff. In the formats that you're going to see in the press kit, it's important for me to always say this. I want the stores to look at the different formats or look at the template and model it. So again, if you see someone doing something great with events, model what works for you. You don't want to straight out copy this, okay? Because that's when this thing breaks down. because we're sharing all of our information about our stores with our, our other competitors, basically. This industry is unique, and I love it because you are a sharing industry. So take advantage of that and just model what works for your store and apply it to your press kit and apply it to your events. Okay. Let's switch screens. So each store has unique selling points. We're all selling books. We're all going after the big authors. There's probably a lot of crossover in what we're doing as far as offering. We're always promoting our excellent customer service, our excellent inventory. We're always hustling with trying to build relationships with venues and whatnot. So you want to be able to think, okay, that's what the baseline is. That's what the publishers are kind of expecting from us to be doing. Okay, what stands out amongst your peers? How are you unique? So whether you have a large writing community, a lot of authors that come out of your community, whether you have a historic district that you're in, whether you have a lot of political associations that are tied to your store, whatever it is that makes it unique. Whether you do a festival and you're the leader of that festival, anything that's going to help the publisher understand how you're involved with the community, how you're connected, and how your relationships are going to help sell books, basically. So again, you're looking at it from the targeted audience of who's reading this document. This document is going to be read by publishers and publicists. And if anyone's got on the phone with the publicist, they talk fast. They have a little bit of time, right? And they need to have a document that gets to the point. So that's kind of what drives my template that I'm going to show you later. So this document also gives you an opportunity to look at what has been successful as far as events. So events can be non-author as well as author. I'm striving to get author events, but when you're developing your author program, you can definitely be including your non-author events, your community events, Where's Waldo type things. These things are all going to be establishing an impression with the publishers about how you bring people together and how you're looking to bring those events to convert to book sales. Okay, so again, it comes down to that bottom line, but it's also, they want to understand the energy of the store, what kind of community you're creating within your, under your brand. And you want it to be memorable. So when you're talking to the publicist and you're putting together these documents, you want to make sure that there's something that makes it stand out for you. So when you walk away from the conversation, there's something that's going to stick in their mind when they're looking at planning a tour for the whole nation. When they're looking at your region, they're going to remember your store for a particular reason because you've highlighted your unique selling qualities. So again, I keep hammering this point. I want you to know your reader. So again, the reader is the publicist. It is not a customer. It's not necessarily media. For this call purposes, let's just concentrate on the document that's going to allow you to get authors. A lot of the formatting that I put into place into this template allows people to skim the document. So you're going to see a lot of formatting notes and suggestions that come up. That is why, because when the publicity person is looking at all these documents, because now it's becoming a little bit between NABA region and your region, they're going to see all these one sheets, these press kits coming through, and they want to be able to scan the document quickly. Okay, so know your reader, know who you're going to be preparing this document for. Think about it from their perspective when they're trying to plan a national tour. And again, it's a very strategic document. It's not a book or a novel. So we want to talk about who you are. And a lot of times when I'm challenged with, when I'm talking to New York, they don't know, they understand the store's name is Booktown, and they just don't know, they have no idea conceptually where we are. So I have to physically use my document to help geographically place us. They're unfamiliar with where, all the different cities in the country. So it's important for them to understand who you are, where you are in the region, and what you have to offer in your community. Again, know your market. When we're doing these documents, a lot of times, most recently, because of Instagram and social media, there's a lot more visual aids in these documents that have come into play. I want you to be able to highlight your most successful stores, and when you're choosing images for this document, I want you to choose images that show how events are formatted or enjoyed, like the experience of events in your store. So I want you to be able to highlight these successful events in imagery as well as in text and with data. And I'll show you what I mean in the templates. And I'm including all events, large and small. Okay, so even your story times, don't exclude that. Those are also making your event program successful. Okay, so I like to show them everything. We're challenged with having a small store, so of course we have a lot of events that are small, meaning we also reach out to our local authors. We do a self-published author support. We have authors that want to pitch their authors that are writers who are looking to be authors. We have a program that we do for them. So all these local events are building my author program. Again, the big successful events are the ideal event that we're looking for to get out of this conversation with the publishers. That is ideal, but I want you to know that it takes some time. If you're a new store starting out, it takes some time to build up your portfolio of an author program. So a lot of times your events may be small to mid-size, and big may be your dream, and you'd be frustrated because you don't have a big event. But you really do have to build up the systems and the operations and the staff that can support these big events that the publishers are looking for. So just be happy where you are in your event level, and you'll build up to different events. This is a great size event picture. I loved it. I loved that I could see the depth of the store, and I could see that it would be something that would be easy to hear, focused on the author. I kind of like that picture. Another important thing for the publishers to understand is that outside of your store, as you've all probably realized, there's a lot of emphasis on the experience of being with the author. So we've all become professional event planners, right? So you're seeking out partners that can help extend the experience of the bookstore into another venue. And it's so important for the publisher to understand that what you have established in venue partners, whether they're schools, restaurants, theaters, hotels, retail stores that you can partner with. And the key to the partnership is, one, that it's complementary to the event program that you want to put on, but also that it's showing to the publisher that they have a marketing channel that's established. So when you're shopping around for partners, make sure that they already have an established marketing system in place, so you can expand and extend your marketing system. And that you're going to display on your press kit. You're going to be showing your marketing channels. Okay. So these are the stores that have helped us fill the content for this call. And so I really appreciate you getting in your press kits early so I can take some time and go through them. I visited your website. I looked at your stores on social media, and you're all doing awesome. A lot of times I saw some, I could see where you're spending your time. You're putting a lot of your pictures up on social media, which is great because that's where everyone is. But you also want to replicate and keep aligned that message that you're putting on social media onto your press kit. So again, it's important to always look at this press kit and make sure that it's up to date. So you can shoot it off to the publishers, and it represents your online imagery, your online marketing, to what you're doing in this takeaway document. Okay, I'm going to stop there and just make sure I haven't lost anyone in that discussion. Is there anything in the chat?
No questions have come in yet. Everyone's listening.
Okay, and the volume is good. So just let me know if is there a hiccup. Okay, so for, again, these stores are all at all different levels of event programs. So I want you to understand that if you're starting out Don't fall off your chair because you see some of this elaborate document that's beautifully graphic. I don't care if you have a one-page Word document, okay? As long as you have something that you can present to the publishers and give them the information that they're looking for. They want to hear how you can help them sell books for their author and what kind of experience you can provide. A lot of times people don't like to hear that that's the bottom line because there's so much care gone into the look of the school and the look of the store and where and the flow of the customer and what they experience. But for this, all that's important, but for this conversation, it comes down to that, how we can convert this event into sales. Okay, so here we go. We're going to start. So I'm going to pop out of this presentation. And the first one up is Avid. Now, Avid is submit 3 different types of documents here. And I'm sure they have, I'm going to move this video thing. I'm going to show this one first. Okay, is everyone seeing Avid's bookshop document on my screen? Nodding of the head? Okay. Okay, so Avid. All right, so right away I know that you're in Georgia, okay? So let me see, that's not the document I was looking at. This document. All right, I started reviewing this one. I like the way this one flowed as far as like your first page for the document. It tells me where you are in Georgia. And being that we are in, we're in a time period where no one is really reading detail, it's important for paragraphs to be bolded. See how there's some words in here that are bolded? It's important for me to be able to scan this document. So I have important information about this store and where it's located, but I needed to have it bold so I can see at a quick glance where you are. And I would explain to the public, whoever's reading this for the first time, what this neighborhood means, okay? So what I like about this paragraph is, this is what I would bold, cultural hub, okay? That means to me that these people would be interested and dialed into book buying, okay? So again, I'm thinking about the publicist's point of view of who's reading this for the first time, all right? And I would just explain what 5 points is. I'm not from the area, so I wasn't sure if how that converted. Was that, again, part of this cultural hub? Is it a research? You know, again, just elaborate that. Again, I would bold this. This is very important that you are a New York Times reporting store. It may sound obvious, but some stores are not reporting. And I've gotten events over other stores in New Jersey because of that simple fact. So it's super easy to become a New York Times reporting if you're not already. All these other reportings are also very good. This is important, so I would bold it, all right? This paragraph number 3, 4, is more of a story. If I was looking for space, I would probably condense this, because this is where the rubber meets the road right here for me as far as, again, a publicist. I'm looking at this school programming in author school. I really liked how they made, this is their unique selling point right here, or one of them that they put on this document. It tells them that they go above and beyond their school programs. And I love that they have a full-time person, engaged specialist. So I would like to know immediately, like, what's going on with their school system. So to me, I think that is important. That deserves important real estate. All right. So I would probably find a way to better feature that unique selling point on this document. I also like this headline, why Athens and why Avid Bookstore. I probably would move that up because that grabs my attention right away. And again, it's helping me to right away get to the gist of this document. Why Athens, why Avid Bookstores, boom. And then they go into describing that. And they've highlighted it in their way, and very fun. They have a lot of musical influence here, you know, for these legendary bands. That's great. So I would probably combine a lot of this information, move that header up, combine the information that helps the publicist understand exactly what you have to offer. I would go into your unique selling point, which is a school program. There's probably others. Okay. All right. So all this paragraph, this is all treated when it's all one same font. I can't scan it easily. So I'm saying, okay, so you're saying that all this information in these paragraphs are created equal, and they really aren't. There's some things in here that stand out more than others, such as I really liked here. Let's see, is this in there? This paragraph is very important to the publicist. They want to know that you're reading their ARCs, you are putting in your reviews into the Edelweiss, and they want to make sure that you are participating in those the ARCs that you're reading the ARCs that they're receiving. So this to me is recently something that I would bold. So again, in the early versions of this call, I wasn't adding this, but this is now important. So bold it and make that probably part of like the reporting of the New York Times, okay? I'm going to stop right there. Does anyone have any questions of what I'm saying? Shaking heads, okay. Location and travel is so important because when they're booking the tour for the author, they need to know logistically, like how are they going to get their author? It sounds like a great fit, but how am I going to get them to your store? So I like to put this in bullet form so they can see right away the major airports and what your store's distance is from, so forth, or if it's public transportation. I also like to help them out a little bit. You know, you can leave that off. You can leave this off the document, but this is just a side note. You can also help map some of the other stores that they can hit on the author's tour. Okay, so you probably do that already in your mind. It's like, okay, if they come to my store, they go to Avid, they can go to Hortons or wherever they are logistically. So kind of help them out to map out the tour for the author. Okay, local media is very important. Outside of the New York area, I've heard that it's very challenging for publishers to get media at other areas, like specifically Philadelphia, which is very surprising for me. But those stores in Philadelphia were hard. We could not get some tours because of the fact that they were not getting the media coverage. So if you have relationships with media, okay, and it's established, not just these medias that are in your local area, but if they're established, you have a relationship with them, you have a way to get other people to extend the knowledge of the event. List this on the press kit, okay? I know they're looking for that. Okay, again, past event highlights. They have some awesome events listed here. Awesome. But because of the formatting, it's not easy to read really quick and get the details. So what I like to suggest for all the, this is like one of the pieces of the template that I really like to have on the template. And I think it's important for the conversation and for the reader. I like to have a grid. The publishers are always working on these grids, and that's what they're used to seeing. So they're used to seeing the information about events in a certain order. I like to replicate that. I like to give that right back to them in their own language and let them know how our events have been doing. So with the past highlights for Avid, I suggest putting this into a grid form, or if you can't do grid, if that's not possible for you, then just bullet it so it's easier for them to see where the event was, when the event was, the author, the publisher, how many people were in attendance, and I like to put in sales. And we can talk about sales. I don't want anyone to get upset about that, but sharing your sales events with the publisher and the publicist is important, because I've been using a document that had no sales and with sales. And I can tell you the one with sales has gone much easier, but it's up to you whether you want to put your sales in the press kit or not. But you decide that. And you can test the conversation and you can see how it goes for yourself. But when you're just giving a takeaway document to the publisher, I would put this information in bullet or grid. It's so much easier for them to understand, okay? Also for Avid, you have some older events. I know you're very proud of them. You can use them for experience, as far as like Lori from 2014. I like to highlight events within the last 12 months. It just shows me that you're keeping yourself and your program current, okay? If you're going to be going back to 2014, I don't want any doubt to enter into the publicist's mind to say, okay, what's going on? What's going on with this store? They're highlighting only these events. I want to see how you fill in your program throughout the year. So not every event needs to be highlighted, but you're most successful in the last 12 months, okay? And that 12 months can start at any time. It doesn't have to be January to December. All right, so Avid, I hope this helps you to jumpstart this. What I do, you sent me 3 documents, so I was a little confused as to where to go. And one of my sticking points is that I want to be able to hand deliver all the important information in one spot to the publisher in a succinct document, okay? And so sending me 3 made me not understand like which one I should be looking at. So condense this information that you have in these documents, okay? You have some cool pictures. Even though you have multiple locations, I would probably format that maybe per page. If you want to go into 3 pages, that's fine. Again, this document just needs you need to bring this all together. Again, and you'll see in the formatting and the designs that I'm going to be showing you, if you're boxing in content, maybe use a frame around it so it's easy to see that information together. And a lot of these documents are repeating the same. So again, I would figure out how to bring it together, move up the most important information to the front, okay? Use some better formatting. Again, for this area, grids. Bullets or grids. Okay, I want to talk about pictures. These are great pictures. Oh, that's what I want to talk about. You guys, you were the ones that talked about people camping out for an author, David Sedaris. Yeah, I liked the sounds of that event as far as experience. So, I would probably put the copy of that event next to the photo so I could see how you brought the community together. So these are the people, just for those people who don't know what I'm talking about. They had an event for an author and there was a ticketed event. And then it seemed like there was like this outside event for people who didn't quite get the tickets. They could still listen to the author, listening to the author read his book. And I thought that was awesome. That's so unique, and that's an experience. And that's something that someone's going to be talking about for a long time. So again, that's something that I would highlight, what you've done. It boosts the knowledge of and the confidence of the publisher that you have experience in doing multi-complex events, okay? Again, so I'm thinking about it, how they're going to see it. These pictures are really great because I can see the audience and I can see where the author is. I can see how much, space and how many people you got into a room. I really like these pictures. They are a little dark, so if you had to print this, they need to be lighter because they get muddy. A lot of times, if you're trying to figure out if you're trying to create a digital document versus a print document, consider it for both. That's why I try to keep these simple so they can be shared digitally or also printed. All right. I'm going to just stop there and just make sure there is anything in the, Nikki, anything in the chat?
We've got 2 questions.
All right.
The first is, would an actual map be helpful?
Okay. In the beginning of when I created this template, I did put in a little map. And I don't think it's important because it's taking valuable real estate on the document if you're trying to keep it to 2 pages. So what I would do is I would put where we're located, like let's see if I can find this quick on Avid's. Here, location and travel. I would just be like, where is Avid? 60 miles. This is fine. So this is, they can, I can understand Atlanta, okay, but I need to know airports. So not a map, a bulleted section that tells me the distance from major hubs, major transportation hubs, whether it's train, plane, stuff like
And the
that.
second question is, what about the order? Should something be moved up or down, like the past event? Should they come up earlier in the document?
Okay, so I like to reflect the last 12 months, successful events in 12 months, okay? If you have things that you're really proud of, like from 2017, 16, I would show them. 2014, it's a little bit older. It's too old to have on the document. I would bring it up in conversation just so they can understand that you have experience with a complex event. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yes, but this question is about, should the section on past events come up earlier in the document?
No. Current events first, and then your older documents at the end.
Okay, I think they're just asking about the events section. Avid called it past events. Successful events. Should that come earlier in the document, like location,
Okay, tell them to hold that thought, because there is usually going to be on the second half of it, because you kind of have to say who we are, where we are, and that kind of, you'll see some formatting. It's in a good location, and if the formatting is done right on this document, it'll be on the top of the second page, or it could be on the front page, like on Booktowns. So to answer the question, I would say it's toward the beginning, but it's not the first thing that they say. You don't want anyone to judge you by your numbers if you have a small, young author program. You need to build up your case a little bit. And so you want to make sure that it's in a good spot in the conversation that you're going to be having to present your store. And you're going to have to test that. All right, I'm going to move on. Okay, bookmarks. Okay, bookmarks has a very beautiful bookstore and press kit. It's beautiful. They have someone who's talented in graphic design, and they're lucky. So anyone who doesn't have that talent in-house, do not panic. This does not mean, this is not the benchmark that you have to be achieving if you have if it's you and you're the person doing everything. So that's not what I want to emphasize here. What I want to emphasize here is it's that the way it's formatted, it does make it easier to read the information, okay? The layout. So again, I want you to think about that. They have creatively laid out the information, and I'll have to say it's 3 pages. There is a lot of information. So this document may or may not be solely used just for the publicist. But I tell you, it's a killer. It is unbelievable. This is a beautiful, beautiful document. It's impressive. It makes a nice impression with the publicist because they like to see visuals and they have things at their fingertips, okay? And the formatting is done well. So, it's nice. You can't argue with it. What I love, and where the rubber hits the road right here, is this festival. And again, I want to see how they're selling books and in which formats they're selling books. So they have a very unique selling point. Very unique selling point. And this document is helping them to relay that. Okay. So having said all that, I'm assuming that this is also going to be a printed document. So if I was bringing this to a meeting to have with the publishers or sending it, it's a huge document. So if I was to suggest anything about this, I would probably condense it if I had to get this attached to an email, or if I was, it probably looks beautiful in print on nice paper with all these images. But if it was going through email, you may want to condense it just because it's huge. And but it's still lovely. So that's really not a criticism. It's just a suggestion when you're trying to get something out and easily, decided upon. So let's go through it from the top. They have a lot of images, so kind of I see the excitement on people's faces. When you're picking pictures, make sure they're selling events, okay? When you're picking pictures, make sure they're selling events. Not, I don't really like to use pictures that show empty rooms or just bookshelves. And they've done a good job with picking good pictures. So they are highlighting at the top here some unique selling points. All right, right there, boom. They're putting in numbers. So not only are they running these events, but they're telling me how many people are attending. I'm going to skip around a little bit here just to emphasize that point. In the Festival of Books and Authors page here, they tell me that they, right away, boom, 20,000 attendees. I would love, that would my next question, you know, it would be from the publishers, is like, how many did you sell? But you can, if you don't want to put that in this document, you can have that ready for the conversation. But it just is saying, I mean, in my mind, I'm saying, I know the operations that's needed to support an event like this. So they are pretty organized, okay? It's giving me that impression that they have a system in place. Few things that they pull out here. They have off-site venues. So this is nice because I'm going to show you here. It's very small font. So let me see if I could blow it up. This shows the capacity of their venue partners. Key, folks, key. Because Booktown holds 30 people at a maximum. I have to be able to say that I have partnered with venues that are larger. So here they are, they've already established, and I'm assuming that they list them and they have established relationship with them, not just because they're located in their neighborhood. They're telling me how many people can accommodate, how many can accommodate in attendees, okay? Very helpful in the decision process. So, I have gone from my document in a conversation with the publicist, because of that document and because I had things that they could refer to in paper, we've been able to, in some cases, almost confirm an event right at this conversation because I had all this important information at their fingertips and they had someone that they were looking to place ASAP. And I just happened to show up and I would have a partner that could accommodate them. I had the right community that would be a fit. The distance wasn't bad and so forth. So these documents come in handy when you're having this conversation. Let's see. They tell me about their volunteer. I like this. This is unique about them. Okay. They have 150 volunteers. So again, they're using this document to highlight their unique selling points. Okay, this is also very important for New York to understand. If you're working with schools, if you work with how you do the book ordering, they seem to be very focused on that. So if you do school events, make sure you highlight your system. Give them confidence that you have a system in place. I'm going to stop with this one. I want to make sure there's no questions. I don't want to rush through this. Anyone have anything for me on bookmarks presentation? The two have been really different. Okay. Nothing. Shaking heads. Okay. All right. So I think you get the gist of that. I'm envious of that document. Okay. Hortons. Oops. Oh, darn it. Here we go with Hortons. Hortons Books and Gifts. Okay. So in this document, very straightforward, 3 pages, right? 3 pages. It needs some help with formatting. And I think after this call, they're going to get some good tips on improving this. So what I want to say about this document is on the top, I'm a big stickler about, okay, who you are. Okay, in that, not just the name of the bookstore, but who do I contact for events? So make sure you have the person that is going to be the contact person up at the top as well. Who do I call? I don't want to try to guess and have this long conversation if I'm calling from the store, or I want to know who do I address my email to, because it's always usually by email. I want to be able to to send out that email right away. So up at the top, I always like to have, again, some type of branding, but also who's the contact for the events. I think what Hortons could do also, because we're in a visual society, is add a picture that promotes events. So they have some real estate on this page here, so I would definitely add that. This is very good. It's pretty clear, right, where they are. I like that up at the top. So who are we? Where are we? Okay. And they highlight their nonprofit organizations and community partners. So again, with this, more information about the partnership. Is it a place where you have a venue? Is it just, what are these partners and how are they helping with the sale of books? Are they audiences that are dialed into the store and help promote your events? I would explain a little bit more under this header what these partnerships mean to the store. Okay, publicity efforts. I talked about the media and how it's important for them to understand who you are reaching out to get the awareness of the event known. So this is good here. So they have publicity efforts here, bulleted, and they detail it. Certain things I would add here is if it's an email blast, I personally want to just make sure that that's an email system and that you have subscribers to it. So in parentheses, I'd like to see that you have certain subscribers. So if it's 2,000 subscribers, put that in there. It's just not an email blast that is, could end up in a junk box. But this is good. It's nothing fancy. It just lists everything that they do as far as an effort to support an event. Again, with your Facebook, your Twitter, your Instagram, I like to show the followers because it shows if you're active. Okay, it shows if you have from year to year, you're going to see when you're putting this document together if you're growing it. And let's see, in this section here, I like that they give the tone in their description here. So it says our author events are formatted as casual discussions between authors and readers rather than formal readings. I would like a picture right there to see like an event that's in action. So a picture that shows audience and the author in the informal format that they're talking about. And I would highlight that. I mean, if you're promoting that you have this chill type environment, that's something that you want to, show them as well in other ways and bold it. Offsite venues, again, the larger events that they're using, these venues also need to have how many people they can accommodate. All right, so this is right again where the rubber meets the road. It's the past events. I like to know years. I like to know how past are we going, and I like a grid. So this all flows into. It's too broken up. So I want to bring it together into a grid or bulleted with all that information right there. I can't match up how many people were in attendance to this event on this page. So that just means that's just some tidying up. But otherwise, very good. I definitely think it needs a little bit of cleaning up, a little sprucing up. But otherwise, you have some information in there that lets the publicist know who you are and what you're doing. I probably would also like to know about if you don't have a lot of events recently, like what are the non-author events, the book clubs and so forth. Moving on to Main Street, they did really well on this one. I heard that they did it just for this call, so I was pretty psyched. Right away, I like the boom. I know who they are. I see where they are. The only thing I would add is the, so no, they have that. They have the contacts right here, boom, right here at my fingertips, okay? This is who I'm gonna send an email to for events, okay? I'd probably change this picture right here. Instead of the bookshelves, I would make it of an event if you have one or people in the store, okay? They also tell me about the historic downtown district of and just because you're dealing with New York, I would, or, you know, someone who maybe not know this historic district. So I would just add the city that you're talking about in here, you know, the historic district of Davidson. This was cool too. I like this, that it's up front and top because they have neighbors with these, this restaurant. So I'm assuming that they can somehow partner with for events. So I would just add add that to this paragraph, maybe in small font, and I would probably make this smaller. It's probably a destination for people who like the Southern Living magazine. So maybe they'll check out this Kindred restaurant and coffee shop. But as far as selling books, I would want to make sure that you can partner with them. Okay, so remembering your audience. And this is cool, college, you know, home of a college as well. So I like that they picked those out. I like that they show their memberships. I like that they show that they're reporting stores. They're active in their memberships. They're always learning. They have a testimonial here. Very nice graphic detail. Not needed, but nice. They have their social media. I'm assuming this is all current. I like that they're keeping up with their followers. They're keeping up with these different platforms. Unfortunately, we have to be everywhere, right? Also, their partners, you know what I'm going to say. I want to know how much they can accommodate. And also, in what way are they, again, this is media for this classic radio. I'd like to know a little bit more about that. So it may be okay to just keep that as a prompt. You may not want to add too much detail with that, but it's you know, right away got my attention. I see that you have schools and yeah, but this radio I would like to know more about. I like that they have this great footer on the bottom. I like strong headers and I like strong footers because no matter where that document lands, I know whose it is at a glance. Okay, so let's get down to, this is 2 pages. And I'm so happy because here it is. It's a grid. I'm sure maybe they blocked out sales here in this column here, which is fine for this discussion. But when it comes to the publicist, I personally think that I like the sales there. Or if you, okay, so if you don't want to have your sales on your document that you give to the publicist, have them on the ready because they're going to ask. But I like how they have their dates, the author, the guests, and then they would have sales. So, and it's in chronological order from most recent. Okay, they're going to be having this one. This is definitely a great display of events, notable author events, very simple, okay? Again, I like pictures that show people and events. If this document is for someone who's trying to book events. So give them photos. If you're going to put images on, make sure it's relative. Demographics. So demographics has been a sticking point with when I talk to the publishers about this document and what they want to know. And they do want to know all these demographics that are listed here. But now they want to know, okay, so you have people that are making a decent living and they're in a good age group. Are they buying books? So you have to be able to answer that question. It's like, okay, is your demographic, which demographic is buying the books? As a lot of people will say that they're in a high net worth community, but they don't buy books. They want to go to the library. So you need to be super ready for that part of that conversation of your demographics. But it all plays into helping them align with an author. So all this information is good. If you were going to eliminate anything, I think they're all good, actually. I think all these points are good. And I like how they have it formatted. Isn't it easy to read? Do you see what I'm talking about? So then they have the drive time differences here to help them get to their store. So someone could map out a national tour, 30 minutes, they put the time, and boom, they have other bookstores listed. That's very nice. Okay, I like this one. Good job. All right, I'm gonna put that one down, bringing this one up. Everyone's still there? Okay, I can't see it. All right, Square Books. Whoa, what an amazing store. There's so many stores I want to visit now. But this is pretty unique. You're probably all familiar with it more than me. This is the first time I'm hearing of this store, and it's pretty cool. I'm going to tell Square Books right now, get rid of this dark background. I've had the dark background on my press kits and it doesn't work. It doesn't work on reading. And if you're in a room with weird lighting, like dim lighting or any type of off, not bright lighting, it affects the readership. So I would change that out right away. Your images are good. I'm trying to, when I first saw this, I was trying to understand, okay, where do I start on this document? So maybe I would be careful with the boxes and the colors. I would create more of a flow, okay, with the readership of this document. But let's see, we're going to go right up at the top here, who they are, where they are, who do I contact? Boom, Lynn. I may just add I just may add the name as well, the name and last name as well, so I can properly address the email. A little bit of background of where we are. They bold their name. I would reverse that and bold some important words in the text. Okay, historic Oxford Square, 10,000 square feet. I would bold that. And I would be really super clear that you have multiple locations and that you take over like a city block. So this is different ways that they have marketing channels. Okay, so I probably would bold this. I would give this a header and break up this information so I know what I'm reading and how it applies to planning a tour. Community partners, I really like how they have this formatted. It's super easy to read. The only thing that's missing, again, is how much they accommodate. So I've noticed that you're putting the name of your partner, of your venue partner, and you're putting the website. Most likely, they're not going to click over to the website for your partner. So give them the information that you're thinking that they're going to go find over at the website. Okay, give them the information, the important information that they need. Here's some testimonials. I thought they were nice. They do take some important real estate here on the front page. So maybe I would break them up. Maybe I would spread them out. I would probably, if I was going to change the format, this really does take some pretty good real estate on the front page. So I like the testimonials. I maybe break them out, but it's not a deal breaker for me. And then this is the happy dance right here. This is what they want to know. So it's on the top of the second page, which is nice. Okay, so I got a feel for the store, and then boom, here are the numbers. And they have some added columns here, which I really liked. I thought it was helpful for the discussion. And they have a footnote exactly what these columns mean. So they're very helpful here. They know their numbers. So it's a store that knows their numbers. I'm happy. The only suggestion I would say is flip this from most recent to furthest or oldest. And I would, what's going on in 2018? Have you updated this? So I would give me if I'm going to BEA in May, I want to make sure I have some of the most recent up on the top. Okay. So that's all. I really like their notes. I mean, probably I would take out notes if it's not needed. But this was good to show. They should be really proud of that. Okay, so we have these 3 blocks. We have a picture, again, another picture of the store on the street. So again, duplication of this picture. I would use your photos to profile your events. They have this hand-drawn map, which totally cracked me up. It's not helpful. It's cute. It made me laugh, but it's not helpful. It's hard to figure out, and especially if I'm not near the store and I don't know their area, I would take it out and I would do something else. Maybe that's where a testimonial will go, with a picture or something that's going to, again, show off your unique selling points. Okay, so you're using valuable real estate there. It's in a prime location. I would figure out maybe media partners would go in there. Okay, so think about these blocks, these 2 right here. This is good. It tells me where I can send my authors. And, another thing that I'm learning is that this is important. Use the codes. So it shows me that they have established relationships with these lodging partners for their authors. Okay, so you're really involved with the community, and they are supporting your events by offering the author a discounted rate if they mention the code. Like that a lot. Down here, which is really important, you know, it's important to show that you're active in, this is a marketing channel, it's an important marketing channel. So they have to now manage 2 locations and all those marketing channels. So it's important for them to show growth in that, and they got some solid numbers. I would probably move that up, or I would just put that in again with all their media, like how are they getting that. This paragraph up here, I would probably highlight this a little bit better, give this more real estate. Again, how are you getting the message out about the events, okay? And this here's media too. So again, this is like at the bottom on the second page. I'd probably bump that up. Okay, nice job. Looks like a great store. I'm going to reduce that one. Everyone awake? Everyone's good. Okay, thanks, Nikki. All right, so Quail Ridge. I know that they popped on the call. Very impressive. Okay, this is different. They have a presentation that I'm imagining they do digitally on an iPad or a computer when they talk to the publicist. I'll let them correct me later in the chat box. We can talk about this. But again, this is what I like, is a different format. They have a tool in place to present the store, okay? Right away, you're probably gonna know what my suggestion is that it should be tailored down. So it's 29 pages, eek. I'm sure it's impressive when they're going through it and they're doing this presentation and talking about highlights of the store. I'm just going to flip through this quickly so people can see. It has personality, okay? Local authors, cool. Changing of the guard, fine, backstory. This is where the rubber meets the road for me, okay? Boom. I'm like, okay, it took me to page 6 till I really felt like, okay, I can get into the material I'm looking for. So look at the size of the store, okay? Impressive. I think that should be a picture that goes up earlier in the presentation. If I was, again, this document is strategic, it's just for the publicist. This may be a multi-purpose presentation. It tells me how many they accommodate, how many events they have a year, wow, and their sales. Okay, so I like this header. Boom. What can Quail Ridge do for you? All right. So they have a very impressive bullet list here. The font's a little funky for me. Bold, I would just be careful with this font. It's probably because it's bold and it's narrow and it's close. I would widen it up and make it a little bit more easier to read on a scalable level. You know what I'm saying? I like how they highlight themselves as a convenient East Coast stop. Okay, I think that's important. It gives a publicity person a visual to understand. Okay, so how far east and who else can I tie into that tour? I also wanted to know about media because again, that's on my hot list. That's a buzzer for me. I need to know, like, what are we talking about in close relationships with N and O? All right, so what is that? So maybe they tell that in conversation. These are just talking points. But if I was to have a takeaway document and I have to then repeat and kind of pitch the store to my supervisor, I want to make sure I have something that I can take and prompt me to be able to represent your store in the next conversation if I have to go to someone else and get approval to book this author for your store. All right, so that's very important to remember. You have this impressive document, but what are you leaving the publicist with? I'm sure you're going to explain it to me later in the chat, just so everyone else can learn from it. So they have garnered probably their own media list. Every store should have that on the ready, but they make it a note in here. So let's just see the pages here. So they have impressive visuals showing me how large their events are. Then they have their social media, their marketing channels. So it's all on one page. They're showing me a screenshot of their emails and their numbers, and they have sublists. This is a pretty mature system here. It looks really good. So again, anyone who's starting out new, do not fall off the chair. This is, years in the making. Promotions. This is how they are, this is how they advertise. Different ways. Bold, easy to read. Local partners. Again, how are these partners helping them? They probably explain that in conversation, but maybe if it was a takeaway document, I would make sure I put a little statement underneath each of them to say how they're helping us with the media reach, accommodating in size. So again, this is just behind the scenes story. They're breaking up their sales and everything. It's very impressive. Again, I just need to know who do I contact, and is this for who do I contact for school, if they're breaking it down into school, into regular author events and children events, and so forth. Just be clear on that. So again, when you're preparing a takeaway document, this is like an online presentation. Okay, just gives me an idea of how vast, big, deep this store is. It's a complex author program. Okay, so they're telling me about the area. I like this. I like that there's stores that maybe they could partner with. Okay, how does this help us into book buyers? So just a little bit more information about how this converts, again, on that topic about demographics. Yes, we can spit out all the demographics, but how is it helping to conversion? This is all very helpful information. It can be condensed. Whoa, that's a big map. So again, it takes a lot of real estate, but it's a nice part of their presentation. Here's the staff. They have support. Okay, lots of visuals. They're showing that they have experience. Okay, it's all very impressive. And it looks like a lot of fun. Okay. So again, in a takeaway, I want to know who I reach. I'll be like, okay, wait a minute. What were their events? Like, how did they do their events in the last 12 months? It's a lot of information. I need it boiled down if I'm going to be taking it to, say, my supervisor to book something for you. You've already impressed me with all your experience, but just give me something easily to take back and consume at a later date after the conversation, or attached to an email. Just simply that. If you're not being able to talk to them in person, how are you going to attach that to an email? And how is it going to be able to represent itself on its own without you having to narrate it all? Okay, Ernest and Hadley, they did a great job too. It's like a media document. So I have 4 pages. So right away, you've heard me say enough. I like to cut it down to 1 to 2 pages. I think this is a multi-purpose document. So I'm going to help them get it down to be a strategic document for the publicist. So right away, I'd like to know, okay, so this is who they are. This is where they are. This is people in their store. And I'm not sure who my event contact is and where in their email. So maybe it's the owner, I guess. So just make that clear. Okay, here's the email. Put it together in a format that's easy to read for reaching out to someone real quick. Okay. So I liked in that they tell their history a little bit in brief way. Booktown does this too. It talks about how many books in an inventory. If it's I don't know. I think sometimes it's easier just to leave that out. It's just that I don't know if it matters to the publicist anymore. I'm going to take it out of our press kit as well. But what I did like is that they're going to be starting, they sell new books, got that, but then they're going to be starting this rare book section. So it's this word that makes me say, why are we putting this in? We may start a rare book section. So just tell me, are you or aren't you? Or if it's coming, is it coming in 2019? Something like that, because I think that could have an attraction to the publicist. But again, everything that we put in this document needs to hold its weight. again, paragraph number 2, how we got here, a little bit of the backstory is fine, but I would bold something in here that makes it easy to scan. Okay, so you tell me about the name, it has a nice story. You tell me about your recent trip, but right here is what this, no, it's in here. I highlight some of these statements in here that stand out. And I'm just bouncing between my notes and everything. This paragraph right here talks about book clubs. And I think that that's important. They love book clubs. They want to know if you have a dialed in audience, a targeted audience, what type of book club is it? Those are important selling points for your store. So highlight this. And then in this next paragraph, if you needed real estate, I think you can shorten this paragraph. It's a nice, this is a nice detail that you can add to the conversation in person or in an email if you're looking for space. Again, this is all very good. They highlight that they're doing social media, they're doing reach out on their own, they're hustling. This is also, I just want to make sure that this is an email system and that you have subscribers. So not just like not just your contact list, okay? So it's subscribers and you have 522 of them, okay? It's just a switching of the words, something that they're used to hearing. Okay, so you have a website on Squarespace. I would leave this out. Publicists aren't really concerned about how many people are, you know, are those people converting to your online bookstore and shopping online, ordering books? If that's the case, then I would add that information, okay? And then on the other pages, you're showing me your advertisement and what they look like. So I'm not sure if you were, because it says in the beginning that this is a media kit. So you're showing the ads off. So again, when you redo this document, remember who your audience is, and you can add on here some events, all right? So I think you got a lot of feedback from the other examples of what I'd be looking for, okay? Not necessarily to take up the space for these, on the pages for these ads, okay? All right. I'm gonna switch that. And okay, so Eagle Eye. Eagle Eye has like a flyer type style, and I think what they're going to be doing is they're going to create a takeaway document that I've been talking about. But I've worked with stores who have had this like trifold document, and it works just as fine. So if you wanted to use, like if you open up Word document and you see the trifold template and you want to start using that, that is fine. That you can get all your information into that format. Sometimes it's easier that the publicist can just take that and have it on there in a little folder that they're taking away. Sometimes it's easy to pop in the mail if you need to. And also scan like this. It's not bad. It's 2 pages. I have, you know, some pretty good layout. It's very good layout of information. So again, I just want to show you a different template. I think it's great that they have this tool. But going through the feedback that we have, so right away I want to know who they are, where they are, and who are my contacts, okay? So this needs to be bolder. I need to be able to find this right away. So I would move that up over onto the primary page, which is probably on the right here, okay? And off-site venues, again, they give me some nice pictures. They show me the capacity, and there's several in here. If you didn't want to do all these images and you just wanted to do a bulleted list, perfectly fine, okay? This is a lot of space here, right here for this screenshot of your newsletter. I would put something else here. Probably I would blow up the event contacts and so forth. Okay, page 2 is, okay. So they make the format pretty easy to read. Why send the authors to us? Here are the reasons. Okay. Why send authors here? They're reporting. Okay, we've hosted over 1,500 signings since existence, I hope, not in 1 year. So just clarify that. Again, I'm looking for the grid and I'm saying, okay, I don't see anything. I see the list here of author events, but I want a little bit more information. So again, this document is multi-purposes. I want a document just for the publicist. I would probably bold some of the words in here so I could scan like right away. Social media, boom, I want to see what your numbers are. But this format is fine. They do lay it out pretty nicely. Okay, all these partners, I want to make sure you can touch on every single one of them to make sure they're current, and that if you needed to get an event together within a week, you were able to contact all of them. And making sure that you can talk on the point of their marketing channels, okay? They all look very, very impressive, but do they share your, how do they partner with you? Do they share in the marketing? Like, will they co-market with you and so forth? So some way to indicate that those are cross marketers for the event. Okay, so here they are. They're showing me some of books that they sold in large quantities. If they are a bookseller that does shipments of large book orders, maybe they should add a little bit more to that. Again, this is a multi-purpose document. Okay, how are we doing? I'm going to take a break, take a sip of water, see if there's any questions. I'm hoping there are.
There are. People are listening.
They're not sleeping, huh?
Wow.
Okay. All right. So let me reduce this. I want this go down. Uh-oh. All right. Let's see. Quail, I did this one. I wanted to show you book towns. Okay, it's not perfect. It has a lot of information and not a lot of visuals. I've had to cut down a lot. We had a lot going on. The store is growing. We've been in business for 10 years. Again, I'm always trying to overcome the fact of our location to make sure that they understand where the heck we are in relationship to New York and how they can get their authors to us. So I do have the advantage of being a little bit closer to New York and having the chance to go in and see the publishers face to face. But if I didn't have that advantage, I'd feel that this document is easy to be, it could stand on its own if I had to attach it to an email. Okay, so we go through my grid right away. So again, to address that question, it's like, where do you put the grid? Do you put it on the front or the back? Well, this year I put it on the front. I had it on the second page for several years, but this year I just put it right to the front. Maybe it's just where my personality is going on with, and my confidence with these conversations are going. But I have moved it up. So we get right to the chase. I tell them, I use this document and I go right down the list of, what's bolded as to explain to them who we are, where we are, and who are the people that they're going to contact. So the quick facts are on the left, okay? It's 2 pages. This is all the different ways here on the left, how we get the message out, okay? And these are seriously we're always working these channels. And these are schools that we have developed in relationships with, so I can put out an email and I can guarantee that I'm going to get a response from these, the teachers, our librarians, the reading specialists in these schools. We've worked really hard to develop the relationships with those schools. So these are things that I'm showing how we get the word out, and it's also helping me segue right into the unique selling qualities of our store. Local colleges, that's the thing I'm trying to develop, is the schools, and I want them to understand that we're developing those and they're in our area. So the capacities and so forth are not listed yet, but they will be. And then I always like to, okay, this is an important section I put in here, what's new at Booktown. And it's in this year's template because I always felt, because I have the opportunity to go into New York, okay, I want to make sure I'm bringing something new to the table every year. So it's forced me to redesign my template and also redesign the thinking of the staff to say, what are we bringing new to the table for the publishers to help think about when they're planning your tours. So that's something you can think about with your documents as well. What's new? And it's helped us. This new subscription plan for paperback books has started. We just started it around the holidays, so I was able to talk about that. I was able to talk about the titles that we chose. I was able to talk about poetry night. Now, this may be going on at your store already, but if you have a new version of poetry night, if you have a new type of poetry that's being featured, bring that up to the table. Add that to your press kit. New relationships that I've reached out to, okay? And ticket events. So again, I'm low on imagery, but I'm high on content, and I get really right to the point with my press kit. It's probably just where I am in the nature of my conversation with publicists. And one more, the last one I wanted to show you. I had the opportunity to work with Past Christian Books. They listened to a webinar, and they couldn't do they didn't have the time, the bandwidth to do the kit themselves, so they asked me to do it for them. And they had some really good events. They knew their numbers, and they knew who they had done events with and who were successful and who they needed to improve upon and what they wanted to grow. So what type of author events they wanted to grow. So he came to me, and we did this press kit. So you can see I have similar style in my press kits. Okay, it's a lot of content. It helps with the dialogue. I can move right through this document and talk and kind of give them a good presentation of the store with one document, okay? And in the back, we presented the grid, okay? So I guess this is the last time I did this event, did an update, was last year. Scott does have a sales column. We popped it off just for this presentation when I asked him for permission to use this document. And so we're developing. He's developing his author program. And with this document, he was able to have a more in-depth conversation with the publicists and with the publishers and take it a little bit further. So I encourage you to take the time. Don't get hung up on design. That's like window dressing to me. Get the content down there right and make sure it flows with a natural conversation so you can promote your store and its strengths, okay? And then try it. And then send it out to the publicist, send it out to your sales representatives and see, what do they think? How do you think this comes across? Is it, from what you know of the story, am I highlighting the right things, and so forth, okay? So that's the end of my examples. I hope it was helpful. I don't want you to get upset if you're not there yet in your design and you don't have anyone that could do graphic design. That's not the point here. We're just looking at content, important information. So what I wanted to do is, when you're preparing your documents, and no matter if you're going to BEA or not, I have a checklist that I put together, and it just runs through everything that I just talked about, that I hit upon, okay? Except I haven't really mentioned this number one document. This is kind of a stickler for me as far as when you're sending the document as a digital attachment to an email. I'd like you to remember, it sounds so simple. I know, this sounds really basic, but you have to format the name of your document in the right way. So when that publicity person is looking through the sea of emails that they have in their inbox, they can identify the email that has that attachment, and it shows the store name, the year, and that it's a press kit, okay? It's one of those pet peeves things. But this checklist is going to be emailed and available to you after the call, so you can run through this when you're preparing your document. You don't have to, try to remember or have to re-listen to the entire webinar recording again. You'll have a checklist that you can refer to quickly. So everyone who attended the call will get that. So let's see, we're going to go back into presentation mode. I appreciate you being patient with all those examples. I hope they got you thinking about what you should be focusing on for your store to help you sell books and to help you connect with the publicists, okay? I hope that you are not intimidated by any of the information that you just got. It's going to be broken down into simple terms. You do all this talking about presenting your store to everyone all the time. It's just getting it into a succinct document. That's all. And whatever format you can get across in time for BEA, if you're going to go to speed dating, great. Don't worry about all the fanciness. I'm going to break there.
Thank you very much.
Yes, I have a question. The template that you spoke about, there's folks asking if they're going to see that or get that.
The template, like okay. So yes, I can give you examples. Also, what I've done in the past is I've pointed a lot of people to NABA's website because they have listed all their stores' press kits. Does that work for you, Wanda?
Yes.
Okay. Then you can just click through these different formats and see, because the checklist is kind of helping develop the template. The style that you want is up to you, but you can look at Booktowns and use that template because I feel like that's where I'm at.
Got it. So when you say the word template, checklist is means here's everything you need to get on there, and you get it on there in the best way that works for your store.
Yep. If you like to just bullet, or if you want to do it in boxes or fancy.
And as to what should be at the top, at the bottom, at the end, will that kind of be explained in the checklist?
Yes, it will.
Okay.
It will say, I want headers and footers. I want to know who to contact. I want to know where you are.
I figured that was the case. And then I have a question for everyone, and you do not have to answer me verbally, but if you would chat or email me, if it's okay, those of you who did submit kits, if we share them with the folks who, a lot of people on the group chat have been asking for copies of other people's press kits. So I wouldn't share those without permission, but if you'll give us permission, we would email those to folks as well.
Good. Okay, good. And also just for the way NABA uses those, the reason why NABA puts the press kits on the website is, one, to help the colleagues, the members, but also so the publishers have one place to go for just information if they misplaced it.
It's smart.
So, right. Any other questions? Any questions from Avid, Quail? Okay.
Quill Ridge, I didn't realize, she was probably telling me, she said, I have to leave in 10 minutes. And she sent that to me, and I should have interrupted and said, for you to do theirs next, but I didn't bump, that's why she was telling me she had to leave.
Okay, if they want to talk to me offline, that's fine.
Rachel Watkins is grateful for the feedback. And
Okay.
Jamil said, who was the first one that was so beautiful? I think,
Bookmarks was beautiful.
yeah, bookmarks.
They have someone talented on their team. So the next webinar, do you want to talk about that? Okay, Linda's saying yes. So with this call today, you're going to be able to put together a document for your own store. Okay. Then you want to know what you should say to the publishers. Like, how should the conversation kind of unfold after you have this document? And we put together a webinar that is going to help you understand what the publishers and the publicists are looking to hear from the booksellers when you present this document. This document is not going to do all the talking in either an email conversation or a face-to-face or over the phone. It has to be able to, you want to complement it with a strategic conversation. And we're going to role play with, we're going to take the scenario of like a new store who's just starting out in their event author plans programs, and then we're going to have a store that's kind of seasoned and has done a lot of pitching to publishers. And you're going to be able to see both scenarios, and you're going to take from there different things that you need to know to mention and to be just to remember to keep top of mind when you're presenting your document. Because at the time when you're proposing your store, you can't rely on the publicist to read that document at the same time listening to you. So you're going to find ways to complement it. And it's good practice for if you go to BEA or if you have a chance to be on the phone with anyone. So that is coming up on the 24th of May. Linda Marie will have all that information for you to register. So I hope to see you all on there and some more, just so we can take this conversation further.
All well, thank you so much.
And again,
Mary Beth, I'm sorry.
go ahead.
SEBA, I've been taking lots of notes, and we're putting together some for some huge authors for the trade show in September. So I'm going to kind of use this format. Once we get that done, is that something you'd look at for us?
So I missed the beginning part of what you said.
We're going to use your information to create proposals for some big author names to come to our trade show in September. And I'm using all of this content to kind of know how to ask. If we create something, will you look at that for us?
Yes, of course. Absolutely.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, and so I hope to see you at speed dating. I will be able to be there we're going to figure out we're going to set this up, but I'm going to be in the ABA lounge. If you want to meet with me to go over any last minute questions about, your proposal or a specific proposal or your press kit or your conversation, like, should I mention this? Should I mention, when should I bring this up, and so forth. And, just to give you a little bit more motivation or clarification at that time before speed dating on Wednesday. So I hope you all take notes.
I just want to read these real quick. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks so much. That's all coming in from folks.
Excellent. All right. So yeah, that's a wrap. If anyone is still stuck, feel free to reach out to me. Do not be shy. Do not be shy. Send me, even if you have something scribbled on a napkin and you took a picture of it. I do not care. At least you want to get started. I've seen it all, folks.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay. You're welcome. It was a pleasure. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.